Hey friends, so before we dive in today, I want to share something with you that I am so excited about. Illuminate You, the collective is back. It's 2 days in person in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina for the mompreneur, the female entrepreneur who wants to get clear, get confident, and get connected so that you can win at work without losing at home. So here's what those 2 days are going to look like. I want you to imagine walking in Thursday evening to a privately curated connection dinner at a beautiful upscale restaurant where we will have our own private space. You'll be greeted with a fun mocktail, signature mocktail, and a welcome gift. But most importantly, this night is about you being surrounded by women who get it. Women who are building businesses and building lives as moms, as wives, and the person that everyone else looks to. And by the end of this evening, all the walls have already come down and you are ready for Friday. So Friday, we're going to spend a full day understanding your personality blueprint, which is how you're naturally wired in your decision making, what your superpower is. What are the things that naturally drain your energy and naturally give you energy? What does your communication and leadership style look like at its best? From there, we're going to create plans personalized for you around all of that so you can go home and implement on Monday morning and know exactly what to focus on. So this is happening on August 27th and 28th. I'm limiting it to 20 women to keep it intimate. And the first 10 who register get 2 private one-on-one sessions with me as a bonus. So one before the event and one after. And a few of those are already gone. So I want you to go to the link in the show notes, or you can go to martinewilliams.com/the collective 2026. Save your spot. Now, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast, where you will learn simple solutions to win at work without losing at home. Hi, my name is Martine Williams, and I am your host and CEO, your Chief Encouragement Officer. And this podcast is your one-stop shop to creating a burnout-proof life and business by elevating your clarity, confidence, and courage. Friends, it's time to say goodbye to being the yes girl, to procrastinating on your goals and living in overwhelm. And it's time to say hello to creating healthy boundaries, healthy mindsets, and healthy habits so that you can achieve work-life harmony. Your next breakthrough starts here. This is the Life Coaching for Mompreneurs podcast. Let's do this. I say this all the time. What you think about is what you will be about. And I was thinking about that this morning in the context of leadership. I'm working with a couple of top leaders right now. And this just kind of came to mind for me as I'm thinking about my own leadership. If you're new here, my name is Martine Williams, and I led a large organization, 28,000 women, built a multi-million-dollar organization. And so when I think about what was it about my leadership that allowed me and my team to be so successful, this is it. Because whether you're leading a business, leading a team, leading your family, or simply trying to lead yourself better, we spend an awful lot of time focused on what people are doing. Did I follow through? Did she hit the goal? Did they do what I asked? Why am I procrastinating? Why isn't my team taking more initiative? Why can't I be more consistent? And we immediately go to the action. And as someone who is highly ambitious, a high achiever, I get it. That is where I typically where I used to go all the time. But what if the action isn't actually the problem? Because before there was an action, there was a thought, there was a belief, a perspective, a story someone was telling themselves about what was happening. And that thought influenced what happened next. So if you want to change what you're doing or help someone else change what they're doing, you might need to stop managing the action long enough to understand the thinking that is creating it. Because again, what you think about is what you're going to be about. So we are obsessed with action as high achievers and highly ambitious women. And I'm not saying this is all sitting back and thinking about our thinking all the time or as the primary or the only thing that we do. But we live in a world that loves action, right? Give me the 5 steps. Tell me what to do. Give me the morning routine. What's the strategy? What's the system? What's the plan? And again, listen, I love action. And I still have to catch myself when I am focused on the action. Action does create clarity, but action doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's something happening before the action. It's your thinking, it's my thinking. And that thinking is influencing how you feel about what you're about to do, which influences whether you do it at all. I mean, I have been focusing on Illuminate You, the collective, for over a month now. And there have been times where I've been so focused on the action and the doing and the emails and the podcast episodes that I lost sight of what I was thinking about while doing the email, while writing the post, while recording the podcast episode. And it does make a difference because the thinking is influencing how you feel about what you're about to do again. And that influences whether you do it at all. There are things that I have not done because of my thinking. I'm just being completely honest and transparent. Think about something maybe you've been putting off. Maybe you know exactly what you need to do. You don't need another strategy, podcast episode, or Google search. You know what it is you need to do, but you're still not doing it. Why? That's where I get curious. When I'm your coach, that's where I get super curious. And instead of asking, why aren't you doing it? I ask, what are you thinking about when you're thinking about doing it? And those are two very different questions, not just what you're doing, but what are you thinking about in doing it? The action makes sense when you understand the thought. So let's just say you need to make, an offer in your business. You need to make a sale. You're trying to sell something. The action is very simple, right? Make the offer. But your thought is, I don't want people to think that I'm being salesy. This actually came from a call with a client this week or last week. So you hesitate because you don't want people to think that you're being salesy. You soften the offer, you don't send the email, you don't make the call, you don't send the message. You post something valuable, but conveniently you leave out the call to action, or maybe you don't post it at all. And then you look at the result and you say, I need to be more consistent. Do you? Or do we just need to look at what you're thinking about selling, what you think about yourself as someone who's in sales? Here's another one. You need to have a difficult conversation with someone either on your team, in your home, but you're thinking, if I say this, she's going to be upset with me. So you avoid it. You tell yourself you'll deal with it later. You compensate for the problem. You justify it. You take on work that isn't yours. And eventually you're frustrated and exhausted. And now you're trying to fix the action. But the action made perfect sense based on the thought, right? If you're thinking that this person's going to be upset with you, of course you're going to avoid it. You're going to tell yourself you're going to deal with it later. You're going to compensate. You're going to justify. You're going to give them a pass. So your thoughts are always giving you direction to your actions. And this is where self-leadership comes in. Self-leadership starts before the action. It's why I believe one of the most important skills in self-leadership is learning to pay attention to what you're thinking about. Not believing every thought that enters your brain, not letting every thought make the decision, learning to notice it. Because your brain is handing you thoughts all day long. Thoughts like, I don't have time. I'm behind. I should be further along. She's better at this than I am. I'm probably going to get it wrong. They're probably going to be mad. I'm the mean girl. I need more information. I'll do it when I'm ready, when I feel ready. And if you never stop to examine those thoughts, you'll start taking action or avoiding action as if every one of those thoughts is true. And this is where my Triple C belief process comes in. The method of catching it. What am I actually thinking right now? Checking it. Is this true? Is it useful? Is there another way to look at this? And then change it. What's a thought or perspective I can choose that helps me move forward? This is my superpower in coaching. This is why my clients get phenomenal results because we're not just focused on strategy and sales and marketing and all of those things that are required in building a business. We're not just thinking about date nights and planning trips with the kids, spending time with the kids. Like we're thinking about what they're thinking about. And my superpower is being the queen of possibility and also helping you shift a perspective to think about it differently. Not fake affirmations that you don't believe. This is not go to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever your AI of choice is and say, give me some affirmations to help me to feel better. This is a thought that you can actually stand behind. So when I'm coaching clients, we go through this process and we keep going at it until we find the thought that one, she believes that she can really believe to be true, one that puts her in the best place of possibility versus the problem, and helps her to want to move forward versus staying still or staying in the same action. That's leading your mind instead of letting your mind lead you. Just like a toddler, you wouldn't let a toddler just make decisions and do whatever that toddler wants to do, right? How many times have you had to redirect a toddler, for those of you that are moms who have had toddlers? It's like an all day process. And this is what we have to become super skilled in, redirecting our mind and leading our mind instead of letting it lead us. And when you're leading other people and you're taking this outside of yourself, if you lead other people, how much of your time is spent trying to manage their actions? Like, this is exhausting as a leader. So you're like, do this, don't do that. Here's the deadline. Here's the goal. Here's the process. Here's what I need from you. And those things matter, right? We're not canceling action. But if someone isn't taking the action you want them to take, what do we usually do? We tell them the action again and maybe louder, right? Or maybe we share the consequences of not doing that action. But what if the real leadership opportunity is to understand the thinking behind the action, helping them to understand it as well? What does this person believe about the goal? What are they making this mean? What are they afraid might happen? What don't they understand? What perspective are they missing? If I can help someone change the way they're seeing something, I may not have to spend nearly as much energy managing what they do next because their actions are going to begin to change because their thinking is changing. And this just requires you as a leader to be a good listener. This requires you to ask better questions. This requires you to do this process for yourself so you understand the process. You understand how to catch, check, and change. It starts with you leading yourself first, and then you can lead others with this same process. But I think, over the years, coaching women who are in leadership and they have a team and they're trying to motivate or inspire or, get them to do this and get them to do that. And while, we do want to motivate, we do want to inspire, and we do want to encourage, you can't make anybody do anything. I can't make anybody do anything, right? The only thing you can control are your thoughts, your actions, and your words. And so helping someone else to see what they're thinking about so they can change their thinking is going to create the change in their actions. So that's your primary job as a leader, is to help them to see what they're thinking about. Hey friend, let's talk. It's time to book your clarity call. We are going to spend 1 full hour focused on you. A clarity call isn't about pressure. It's about possibilities. It's about you. You having a space to talk through what's on your heart and mind, you walking away with a clear vision and practical next steps, and you feeling confident in what's next and how to get there. You don't need to have it all figured out. That's my job. All you need to do is show up, and we'll figure it out together. This is the best hour you can invest in yourself right now. Not in 6 months from now, not next month, right now. And don't just take my word for it. Here's what one of my coaching clients had to say after working together.
Martine is probably the most versatile coach out there. She meets you where you are, whether it's personal or professional challenges, mindset, ideas, brainstorming, or digging into business analytics. She's so relatable and accepting that I truly believe she could help almost anyone.
That transformation, it starts with one conversation. It's time to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress. So head right now to martinewilliams.com or in the show notes and grab your private clarity call spot on my calendar before they're gone. And since I personally monitor my inbox, if you don't see a time slot that fits your calendar, just send me an email at martine@martinewilliams.com with 3 times that do work, and I will make it work for you. All right, friend, let's get back to the show. Great leaders give perspective. Again, it's one of the things that I've realized about the way that I coach. My primary job is not to tell somebody what to do. There are some times where I'm more of a mentor and I'm like, this is what I have found that works. But my primary job, and most of them that I coach they're incredibly smart. They don't need me handing them a to-do list. A lot of times they already know what to do. I've said this 1,000 times and I'll keep saying it. We don't have a knowledge problem. We have an implementation problem because of our thinking about the thing. So, what they can't always see is the thought that's keeping them from doing it, or the story they've been telling themselves for so long they don't even realize that it's a story anymore. It's like become fact for them. And that's where I come in. I challenge the thought. I ask another question. I give them another way to look at it. I give perspective. And sometimes one shift in perspective changes everything that happens next. This is my story. When I was in direct sales and I hired my first coach, she gave me perspectives about sales, about marketing, about recruiting that changed the trajectory of my business. It changed the way I saw what I was doing in my business. And sometimes that one shift in perspective changes everything about what happens next. And it did for me. So a great leader doesn't just give direction, a great leader helps people think better. Not by telling them what to think. I mean, I do offer up my thoughts and I'm like, borrow this thought. My coach does that for me too. And it's so helpful, especially if you're like, I have no idea what to think different. I can't grasp a new perspective. But we are asking questions that help them examine what they're already thinking. Like, just help them to see the story first. See your own story first. What are the stories? What are the thoughts? What are the beliefs that you currently have right now? And challenge them, catch, check, and change. Because your thinking enters the room before your words do. If you're leading other people, your thinking matters. Because imagine walking into a meeting or a conversation or a training and thinking nobody on this on this team takes ownership. Nobody on this team is listening to me. Nobody on this team wants fill in the blank. How are you going to lead that meeting? You're probably going to look for evidence that they don't take ownership, right? You may over explain, you might start micromanaging again, or not give someone an opportunity to step up because you've already decided that they won't. Now imagine walking into that same meeting thinking these people are capable, and my job is to help them see what they're capable of. Same team, same meeting, different leader walking into that meeting. Wouldn't you agree? Because the leader's perspective changed. Not because the circumstance changed, what the leader was thinking walking into that room changed. This could be a meeting with your kids. This could be a meeting with your spouse. This could be a meeting with a potential client. What you're thinking about is what you're going to be about in that engagement. If you're constantly thinking about what's going wrong with people that you lead, or your kids, or your spouse, that's what you're going to lead from. If you're looking for possibility and growth and what could be developed, you're going to lead differently in that way. So, trying to constantly manage behavior is exhausting. It's exhausting, like your own and everyone else's. That's exhausting, managing everyone else's behavior. And let me just tell you, as the queen of Mrs. Fix It and trying to get behavior specifically with my kids to change, it just doesn't work. So think about how much energy goes into forcing, reminding, beating yourself up, micromanaging, following up, fixing, correcting, convincing, and pushing. What if some of that energy went upstream toward the thought that's creating the behavior in the first place? And this requires you to slow down. And this is where I sometimes get myself into trouble because I want it fixed now. Like I want it to be better now instead of slowing down so I can see the thought that's creating the behavior in my kids, having a conversation with them to find out what are they thinking that is making them act the way they're acting. So sometimes you don't need more discipline. Your team member doesn't need another reminder. Your child doesn't need another lecture. Your client doesn't need another strategy. They may just need a different perspective. And so, three questions that I want you to take with you this week and paying attention to an action that isn't happening the way you want it to. So, just take anything that's going on right now that's not happening the way you want it to. And maybe it's yours, maybe it's someone that you lead. But before you jump immediately into fixing the behavior, I want you to ask, what am I or what might they be thinking about this? Get curious before you correct. That needs to be on a t-shirt. Get curious before you correct. Is that thought actually true or useful? Or is there another way to see it that I can help them with or that I need to help myself with? What perspective would make the next action easier? I'm not saying a thought guarantees a result. We don't control every result, but we can lead our thinking toward the actions that give us a much better chance of creating the result that we want. So, this is why so much of the work that we do in our 2-day experience at the collective starts with understanding you. Before we start changing schedules, setting priorities, or creating a plan, I want you to understand the person who is going to carry those plans out. Like, how do you naturally think? How do you naturally make decisions? What happens when you're under pressure? What gives you energy? What drains it? What are you currently believing about yourself, your work, and the season of your life? Because the plan is only as useful as your ability to actually live it, right? If you have, like, when I did my retreat for my private one-on-one clients, and we kind of created their plan, and as they were looking at their plan, I'm like, right now, y'all are all having thoughts about your plan. Let's just be honest about them. What are they? Let's just get them out, get them on paper. And so we just started talking about them because real life hits when you leave a retreat or when you leave an experience. But if you have a plan for how to manage your brain and your thoughts behind it, and you understand yourself on that level, that allows you to lead yourself through that. It's not denying that you're having these thoughts. It's leading yourself well through it. So if you want to experience this work with me in person, we are gathering in a couple of weeks. Well, actually 10 days from now. Well, I don't know if it's 10 days from when this releases, but anyway, August 27th is when the next collective is starting. And I am excited for the women that are coming in this room to do this work. So if this is something that you're like, I want to experience this, I want to have the plan and the strategy, but I also want to have the power of knowing myself and knowing how to manage my thoughts when I actually start putting actions into place. When I start like living out the plan, then this is this is the room that you want to be in. You can find all the details at martinewilliams.com/the collective 2026. We'll have the link in the show notes for you. And whether you're joining me or not, here's what I want you to remember this week. What you think about is what you're going to be about. So pay attention. Before you ask, what do I need to do? Try asking, what am I thinking that's creating what I'm doing? And if you're leading someone else, before you immediately correct their action, get curious about the thought or the perspective underneath it. Because changing an action may change what happens today, but changing a perspective can change what happens from here on out. So check your thinking, catch, check, and change. And I will catch you on our next episode. Well, that's a wrap, friends. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I really hope it met you right where you are and gave you some encouragement for your day. Could you do me the biggest favor and leave me a rating and review? Seriously, it's the best way for you to support the show. And while you're there, be sure to follow the show so you never miss an episode. Thanks again. And until next time, I am believing in you always.